Families from various countries in Latin America take the risk of embarking on a dangerous journey to the northern regions of the world due to a primary reason. They believe it is safer than staying in their home countries. Many individuals who migrate from Mexico, South America, Central America, and the Caribbean, where poverty, systemic oppression, and state violence are prevalent, view the United States as an opportunity for a better life. However, even after successfully reaching the challenging destination of the U.S. southern border, numerous families become victims of the very law enforcement officers who are supposed to protect and serve them. This unfortunate reality has now affected Susana Morales. On February 6th, the remains of 16-year-old Susana Morales, who had been reported missing since July 26, 2022, were discovered in the woods of an Atlanta suburb. The primary suspect in this case is Georgia officer Miles Bryant. Throughout the investigation, the Gwinnett County Police disregarded the concerns raised by the Morales family, insisting that their daughter had simply run away. Despite the family's arguments that Morales would never do such a thing and that she was on her way home when they last spoke to her, the police officers failed to prevent the kidnapping and murder of a teenager at the hands of one of their own. In February, Bryant, who is 22 years old, was fired from a nearby police department in Doraville County due to his involvement in the killing. He's been charged with felony murder, kidnapping, first-degree burglary, filing a false report of a crime, and concealing the death of another person. Bryant, who has a history of stalking, harassing, and behaving inappropriately towards women and girls, is currently being held without bond at the Gwinnett County Adult Detention Center.
Background of a fired Doraville police officer.
Miles Bryant charged with concealing the death of a teen in Gwinnett County. Atlanta News Packer is live right now at the Doraville Police Department. And Megan, you've been going through his file, right?
Right, 200 pages of that file, so a lot to go through. Everything from his work history, including the Army National Guard, to how the Doraville Police Department here handled his firing this week and how they addressed a complaint from another woman who came forward about him. This is 22-year-old former officer Miles Bryant in court recently as he faces charges of concealing the death of 16-year-old Susana Morales, whose remains were found in woods after she was missing for months. Another woman, Alicia Bates, says she had concerns herself about Bryant showing up at her apartment unannounced several times last year. This is video from her neighbor's doorbell camera that she says shows him lingering outside of her door. Her door was even kicked in on one occasion, but she did not know at the time who may have been responsible for that. The personnel file we got today shows when Bates took her concerns to Doraville police, supervisors addressed it with Officer Bryant and told him his contact with Bates had to stop immediately. A captain wrote that Bryant stated he was only checking on her and did not mean her any harm, and he said he would not contact her anymore. A Gwinnett detective is now looking into that case. Now, the file we got today includes a letter from the Doraville police chief explaining the termination of that officer and says while his innocence is presumed, the charges essentially put their department in a bad light because of how serious they are, including possibly affecting public trust, so they took immediate steps. We are live right now at the Doraville Police Department. I'm Megan Packer, Atlanta News First.
Megan, thank you.
Jasmine Morales, Susana's sister, expressed her shock and disbelief, stating, "I was shocked. I had to process it for a second. I was just like, what?" That explains why it took so long for us to have an answer. It's a police officer. I'm guessing they know how to cover their tracks. During the pandemic, there has been a significant increase in the number of young Black and Latina women who have gone missing across the country. Activist Cheyenne highlighted that this issue is not limited to Gwinnett County, as there are still numerous unsolved cases in Washington, D.C. involving Black and brown girls under the age of 21. These families, like Susana's, come to America in search of peace and safety, which unfortunately seems elusive. Adding to the problem is the lack of national resources, which not only hampers media coverage of these cases, but also contributes to a lack of quantifiable data regarding missing Latinas. Researchers believe that the inclusion of missing Latinas in the count of white women and youth obscures the true extent of this epidemic within the community. While missing persons cases are complex, a local mother and an anonymous community member expressed their frustration, stating that Hispanics are not being heard or taken seriously and that the Latino community is being overlooked and neglected. Following the death of the teenager, demonstrators voiced their grievances against the Gwinnett County Police Department, accusing them of discriminatory practices towards the Latine community. This incident marks the third instance of a missing Latine teenager being found dead in the area within the past month, which eerily aligns with the establishment of the New Atlanta Police Foundation, commonly referred to as Cop City by local activists advocating for the rights of Black, Latine, and Indigenous individuals. In March, hundreds of individuals, including Black, Latine, and Native people from Atlanta and other locations, took to the streets to demand an end to the construction of a $90 million police and fire department training center. This center would displace many residents from Atlanta's predominantly Black neighborhoods and result in the destruction of a significant portion of its natural forestry. Chants such as "Stop Cop City" and "Viva Tortuguita" echoed through the streets, paying tribute to Manuel Paez Terán, a non-binary activist who was tragically shot and killed by the police while attempting to protect the South River Forest. Similar to the ongoing issue of extrajudicial shootings targeting Black Americans and Latine individuals during the Black Lives Matter movement, cases like Morales exemplify a larger systemic problem. They highlight the fractured relationship between law enforcement and citizens from marginalized and disenfranchised communities. It is evident that regardless of the racial or ethnic composition of a U.S. police department, Black and Latine people continue to bear the brunt of police brutality and a system that neglects their social well-being. According to the 2022 Police Violence Report, the majority of unarmed individuals killed by the police were people of color, with Black and Latine individuals being more likely to be unarmed and less likely to pose a threat when fatally shot. The same report reveals that Latine individuals are killed by the police at a rate nearly double that of non-Latine white Americans. Jasmine, speaking at a recent press conference, expressed that no amount of money or justice can bring her sister back. However, she emphasized the importance of striving to prevent such tragedies from recurring.